What if your brain could think faster, focus longer, and feel sharper? Not with supplements, not with hacks, not with some morning routine that takes 2 hours to finish. Just 5 things. Done every single day. That's it. Most people go through the day foggy, distracted, running on caffeine and willpower, wondering why they can't seem to get ahead of their own thoughts. Not because something is wrong with them, but because nobody ever taught them how to maintain the machine between their ears. Here's what changes everything. Your brain is not fixed. It is trainable. Neuroscientists call it neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself based on what you repeatedly do. Every habit you build is a rep. Every rep reshapes the wiring. These 5 habits are the daily reps. Let's break them down one by one. Habit 1. Walk every day, not a marathon, not an hour at the gym, not a structured workout with a heart rate monitor and a playlist. 20 minutes is enough. Seriously, 20 minutes changes what's happening inside your brain. Here's why. Walking increases blood flow to the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for decisions, focus, planning, and creative thinking. More blood flow means more oxygen. More oxygen means sharper output. Stanford researchers ran a study and found that walking boosts creative output by up to 81%. Not a marginal improvement, 81%. That means a 20-minute walk before a hard meeting, before a creative project, before a decision you've been putting off, makes you measurably better at it. And it's not just creativity. Walking also reduces cortisol, the stress hormone that, when left unchecked, literally shrinks your hippocampus over time. The hippocampus is your memory center. Less cortisol means a bigger, healthier memory center. More cortisol means the opposite. And here's the part most people use as an excuse. It doesn't need to be intense. It doesn't need to be outdoors. It doesn't need to be scenic or spiritual or paired with a podcast. It just needs to happen. A treadmill counts. A hallway counts. Around the block counts. The hardest part isn't the walk itself, it's the decision to start. So take the decision out of it. Same time every day. Set an alarm. Put it in the calendar. No negotiation with yourself in the moment, because in the moment, you'll talk yourself out of it every time. Stack it with something you already do. Walk after breakfast, walk after lunch, walk while you listen to a podcast you've been meaning to get to. The behavior already exists, just attach the walk to it. Walk every day. Your brain will thank you before the week is out. Habit 2. Learn something new every single day. Every new piece of information you take in builds a new neural connection. And the more connections your brain has, the more flexible, creative, and adaptive your thinking becomes. This is not metaphor. This is structural. Your brain physically changes based on what you repeatedly expose it to. And it doesn't have to be a full course. It doesn't have to be a university lecture or a 400-page textbook. 10 pages of a book. One documentary. And one concept you didn't know yesterday. One word in another language. That counts as a rep. Small inputs compounded daily become enormous over time. Variety matters too. Learning different types of things, music, science, history, language, design, activates different regions of the brain and builds what researchers call cross-domain thinking, the ability to connect ideas across fields. That's where breakthrough thinking lives, and if you want what you learn to actually stick, use spaced repetition. Review what you learned yesterday, then again a week later, then again a month after that. This is how short-term memory becomes long-term knowledge. The spacing AJ effect is one of the most well-documented findings in learning science. When you explain something to someone else, your brain has to reorganize the information to make it communicable. That reorganization deepens your own understanding. You don't just remember it. You own it. And don't force it. Curiosity is the engine. When you follow what genuinely interests you, you don't have to manufacture motivation to learn. Interest creates attention. Attention creates retention. Find the topics that pull you in and start there. One small input every day, that's all it takes. And over time, you end up with an entirely different mind than the one you started with, is what burns. Habit 3. Drink enough water. This one sounds so basic that most people skip it. That's the problem. Your brain is approximately 75% water. It is literally running on fluid. When that fluid level drops, even slightly, everything drops with it. We're not talking about severe dehydration. Even 1 to 2% fluid loss, mild dehydration, measurably impairs concentration, memory recall, and mood. And here's the thing that catches people off guard. You feel it before you're even thirsty. By the time thirst registers, you're already operating below capacity. Before you reach for a second coffee, try a full glass of water first. Most afternoon energy crashes that people blame on tiredness or lack of motivation are actually dehydration. The fix is not caffeine. The fix is water. A simple rule that requires almost no willpower. 1 glass when you wake up. 1 glass with breakfast, 1 with lunch, 1 mid-afternoon, 1 with dinner. 1 in the evening. That's 6 glasses without once having to think about it. Just to anchor each one to a meal or a time you already have. Hydration is the cheapest cognitive upgrade available to you. It costs nothing. It takes 10 seconds. And most people walk around chronically underhydrated and wonder why their brain feels slow. Drink the water. Habit 4. Sleep enough. Sleep is not rest. Sleep is not downtime. Sleep is maintenance. And it is the most cognitively active thing your brain does in a 24-hour period. When you sleep, your brain is working harder than most people realize. The glymphatic system, your brain's built-in cleaning crew, only fully activates during deep sleep. While you're unconscious, it flushes out toxic waste proteins that accumulate throughout the day, including proteins linked to Alzheimer's disease and long-term cognitive decline. You cannot replicate this process while awake. There is no supplement, no hack, no workaround. It only happens when you sleep. At the same time, your brain is consolidating memory, taking everything you experienced, learned, and processed during the day, and transferring it from short-term holding into long-term storage. This is why pulling an all-nighter before an exam is counterproductive. You cut off the very process that makes the learning permanent. 1 night of poor sleep reduces cognitive performance to the equivalent of being legally drunk. Not figuratively. Equivalent. Your reaction time, decision-making, emotional regulation, and working memory all drop to impaired levels after a single bad night. Think about what that means for the days when you regularly shortchange your sleep. 7 to 9 hours is the research consensus for adults. Not 6. Not 5 with a nap. 7 to 9. That's not a suggestion. That's the range where your brain performs at capacity, clears its waste, consolidates its memory, and repairs its pathways. And sacrificing sleep to get more done is one of the most expensive productivity mistakes you can make. You lose far more in cognitive output than you gain in waking hours. The math doesn't work. It never has. A consistent schedule matters as much as the hours. Going to bed and waking at the same time every day, including weekends, anchors your circadian rhythm. Your brain learns when to wind down, when to release melatonin, when to enter deep sleep. Inconsistency disrupts all of it. Sleep is not the reward for finishing your work. Sleep is the foundation that makes the work worth doing. Everything else you're trying to build, focus, memory, creativity, emotional control, rests on top of it. Habit 5. Talk with people regularly. Not texting, not liking posts, not reacting with emojis. Actual real-time, back-and-forth, present-moment conversation between two human beings. Real-time social interaction activates more regions of the brain simultaneously than almost any other activity you can do. Language processing, emotional reading, memory retrieval, reasoning, social modeling, all firing at once. It's one of the most cognitively demanding and cognitively rewarding things a human brain can do. No app, no game, no content platform comes close. Language processing, emotional reading, memory retrieval, reasoning, social modeling, all 5 running in parallel. No app does that. No screen replicates it. The human brain was literally built for this form of exchange. And when it gets it, it performs better across every other domain. Loneliness, on the other hand, is not just an emotional state. It is a neurological threat. Research shows that chronic loneliness accelerates cognitive decline and increases the risk of dementia by up to 50%. Social isolation physically changes the brain over time, shrinking regions associated with memory and executive function.